Hi, we're having a conversation with Mr. Gary Hoover. He is from the University of Texas at Austin. Mr. Hoover, an entrepreneur is made or is it born?
I don't think he's born. Now, how much of it comes from the way you're brought up and what your parents do and the attitudes that go into your head? I think that everyone can become more entrepreneurial, whether they're working in the government, working at a university, working in private enterprise for a big company. Obviously, the most extreme entrepreneurs start their own companies, and the ones who are the most amazing build big enterprises like a Walmart or a Microsoft. But most of us entrepreneurs are not up there at that level, so we start smaller enterprises or we create innovations inside of another existing enterprise. So I think there's a big range, but I think that entrepreneurs, you can always become a better entrepreneur, and you can learn to think entrepreneurially. It's a view of the world. It's a way of seeing things more than anything else.
And what does that way of seeing things involve?
The first thing is to be curious. Just look all around you, ask questions, be genuinely interested in people, where they come from, what their lives are like. Be interested in rich people, poor people, educated people, uneducated people. Be interested in geography, everything that's going on around you. Really understand your context, what goes on around you. So people who are really great entrepreneurs tend to have a sense of history, to know what's gone on in the past, because that's really the guide to understanding the future, and also to know what's going on around them. So like in the United States where I live, most people really don't know much about Latin America. You know, they may go on vacation, go to the beach, go to the cloud forest, but they really haven't studied the people and the culture and the history. Whereas a real entrepreneurial mind is going to really want to know everything. You know, what church do they go to and how many kids do they have? And, you know, just the more you know about a culture, the better. So I think it starts with curiosity, but there are some people who are curious and they find the answers and then they stop and they go ask the next question. A real entrepreneur also has a bias towards action. They say, okay, now I've discovered all this stuff. What could I do with it? How can I make the world a better place? How can I do something new or different? How can I improve things and make it work better? And so the real entrepreneur has both that curiosity, but they really want to act on it.
So this may lead us to the issue, to the theme of passion. What is the role of passion?
It is so critical. For people to really succeed, they have to love what they were doing. And I have students all the time who say, oh, this is a good business to be in. It's social media and it's cool and all my friends like it and you can get rich doing it and all this. And I look them in the eye and I say, yeah, but I read your business plan. There's no passion in here. I can't tell that you really love this. And I look them in the eye and say, do you really love this? And you know, sometimes I can tell, well, not really. Well, if you don't love it, every new idea, every enterprise, for-profit or non-profit, hits a bump in the road. You can't meet payroll, your best customer quit, your architect quit. You always have challenges, and the bolder your idea and the younger your company, the greater those hurdles are, the obstacles. And the minute you hit an obstacle like that, if you don't love it, you say, okay, enough of this, I'm going to go do something else. The only thing that keeps you going through those hard times is your passion. So I think it's really required to really be successful. And the other thing is people are a lot happier if they do something they love. There are too many people going through life doing something for the money or because their parents told them they should or some teacher said they should or something, but it isn't them. It isn't coming from their heart. And they aren't happy, and it's really sad for people to waste their lives doing something they don't love.
So what is the purpose of a business? Make money, make the owner happy, make other people happy?
That's $1 million question. That's a complex one. I believe that the only real valid purpose for any business is to serve others, to somehow make the world a better place by providing better products or better services or bringing things less expensively to people. There's a lot of things you can do, ways you can make life better for people. Now, in order to succeed and survive, that enterprise has to have what do they call it, a financial model that works. You have to figure out a way to sell your product for more than you pay for it. And even if, say, it's a nonprofit museum, I study the museum industry, even they have to take in more money than they spend or they aren't going to be around. So if you really want a sustainable business, it also has to be profitable in the broad sense of the word. Financially, it has to take in more money than it puts out. And great enterprises, great ideas do that. So it's almost like a human being. The good Lord didn't put me on earth just to carry my heart around. But without my heart, I'm not going to be much fun, you know. So, and the profit to a company is like the heart to a person. It isn't why I'm here, but it's critical and required to my sustainability and survival. And so you have to have both. But if an enterprise is just totally focused on how much money can we make, how fast, those companies don't last. They don't build great lasting enterprises. We have some companies in the United States that are 130 years old. Procter & Gamble, the big soap company, John Deere that makes tractors. They were both founded in 1837. They didn't last that long because they were worried about making every single nickel they could make. They lasted that long because they made great soap, great shampoo, and great tractors, and they knew how to make money while they were doing it.
And notwithstanding, Adam Smith said that the butcher does not sell meat because he's generous, but because he wants to make a profit.
Yes, no, and everybody's motivations are different, but everybody has a mix of motivations. And like if I go out in the United States today and try to start a company, and I say, okay, everybody, we're going to make a bunch of money on this. Everybody go to work for me because we're going to make a bunch of money. I'm not going to get the quality of people I need, because they aren't going to have a passion for it. There are not that many people whose real passion is about making money. Nobody turns away money. Nobody really dislikes it. They're crazy if they do. You know, everybody likes having it. But certainly in the United States today, most of the people, they aren't worried about enough money to eat. You know, they're at that level, they're comfortable. They're really looking for opportunities that challenge their mind, that give them the opportunity to be creative. And a lot of this has changed even in the last 40 or 50 years. But I think certainly in the United States and Europe and Japan, the workers don't want that. You know, they want more than that. They want to feel like they're... And people work harder and they do a better job if they really care about it. And they aren't going to care about it if you just say, okay, I'll give you another nickel if you do better. There are times you use incentives, and I've used a lot of incentives, but still the thing that will get the most out of the most people say, look, we're making a difference in people's lives. We're getting more books in more people's hands. I had a bookstore chain. Or we're making it easier to do research on companies. I had a business information company online called Hoovers. And so I think especially at the leadership, at the top of a company, if somebody just makes all their decisions based on what will make me the most money right now, this month, those companies don't survive, you know. And we see cases, case after case. All these, you know, General Motors forgot about making great cars. They used to make great cars. And their cars have come back, but it was kind of too late. The Japanese made so much better cars for so many years. And the big New York banks that all went bust, you know, they'd forgotten that they were put on earth to make loans to people and to make a reasonable profit, not an outrageous profit, and to do a good job. And they forgot that. And now, you know, they're all in a ditch. So, no, I think, and I would never argue with Adam Smith. He's one of my heroes. But I think we take it all into account. It doesn't hurt if the baker does stuff because he really wants to bake. If he can't make a profit on it, he's not going to be a baker very long. So he really has to do both with intelligence.
So the role of the entrepreneur in the first half of 21st century is no different of the role of the entrepreneur in the 19th, 17th.
I believe that, yes. And I believe if you study the people that built great businesses back in the 19th century, Coca-Cola, H.J. Heinz, a Singer sewing machine, they believe the things I'm talking about. Doesn't mean they weren't profitable, but they believe in what I'm saying.
And if I was a student and asked you for advice on entrepreneurship, what would you give me as advice?
Again, be curious, ask questions. I believe that for most people, you really need to find a field that you love. And because I have people come in to see me and they're like, well, I just want to do whatever's hot or whatever will work. No, I mean, most people, like Walt Disney could not have run a bank. Walter Wriston, the great banker that built Citibank, he could not have run Walt Disney Studios. Bill Gates could not have run Walmart. Sam Walton could not have run Microsoft. Most greats they aren't like people, if I can run one business, I can run anything. They aren't truly generalists. And I don't actually believe business is a profession. I believe the professions are being a hotelier, a restaurateur, a filmmaker, a journalist. Those are professions. And most of the greats did one thing. Now, you might change during your life. I've actually been in 4 different industries. But in each one, I spent hours, years studying the industry and getting interested in it and good at it and developing a passion for it. So I think finding, and if you don't, when I meet students a lot of times, say, well, I don't know what I love. I don't know. I say, well, then do internships, work part-time jobs, talk to people in that industry. I love retailing. And when I was a teenager, I would go in to see the managers of all the big stores. And I'd take my tablet in and I'd say, well, do you like your job or not? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? What's the fun part? What's the awful part? And I started studying it. And by the time I was out of college, I knew I wanted to be a retailer. And I knew what was bad about it and what was good about it. But you just can't know too much. So I really believe in learning. And also, don't think that learning is the classroom. At least in the United States, a lot of people think education means a classroom. That's about 5% of your education. It's an important part of it. I'm a big believer in universities, but observation is even more important. Travel is important. Reading, studying, and not just online. There's still a lot of stuff in the library that hadn't been digitized yet. So you got to go to the library. Talking to people, conversation, meeting strangers. Say, what do you do for a living? Do you like it or not? And then the last way of learning that gets left out all the time these days is thinking. Because when I'm thinking about a new business, I've talked to all the experts, I've read the books and magazines, I've hung out in stores or restaurants, I've listened, I've observed people. I then go off into the woods and I take a weekend or a month or whatever, and I think about what I've learned. And I dream in my head, and I make notes in my little tablet, and really taking the time to be no internet, no tweeting, no connection, no phones. I don't have a phone on me now. I forget it all the time because I'm more in the moment, And so I really believe that at least taking part of your time and disconnecting. I mean, a whole lot of time you're connected. What does everybody think? What do they say? What are they doing? Observing, just watching people. If you're in retailing, what stores do they go to? How often do they go there? I sit in the parking lot. I watch people come and go into the store. I watch what they're wearing. Are they going in there with their kids or are they going in alone? How is that different from a bookstore or from a clothing store? I just want to know everything. But then I want to go off by myself and I really want to meditate and really process it. And I do a lot of diagrams myself. I believe in visual thinking, And so those, I think, are key parts of how we learn and how we develop our minds.
Mr. Hoover, thank you very much for sharing these ideas with us, and thank you very much.